Thank you for joining us on this historic date as we mark the 150th anniversary of the Gettysburg Address and the dedication of this cemetery.
This is truly hallowed ground. Words spoken here warrant a special day of reflection and honor, which we do each year so that new generations will better understand the causes and consequences of the American Civil War and the role that the Battle of Gettysburg played in that war, and ultimately its context in American history. We do this to honor those who died here for a cause greater than themselves. We do this because we must remember the price we paid to become the nation we are today.
It is our task and our mission to demonstrate that the past is not old, but in fact, the words of a century and a half ago speak with immediacy today.
Our founding fathers planted a durable seed for a nation with incredible potential, a nation that has and will thrive through the test of time.
Today is not only the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, this year is also the 230th anniversary of the Treaty of Paris, by which Great Britain acknowledged the independence of the United States, thereby bringing to a successful consummation the great experiment launched 77 years before Lincoln spoke here.
77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
On the morning of November 19, President Lincoln made his way to the cemetery. He was reportedly careworn, with the worry of his son who was sick and with the weight of the war and the thousands of deaths it had caused. But he understood that his own personal trials paled in comparison to those of the nation and to the families that had lost loved ones here at Gettysburg.
It's a humbling experience to try to find the words to commemorate adequately the greatest of American speeches given by the one indispensable American at the time of our most terrible national trial.
Civil War for him was the great test of whether his own generation in 1861 was worthy of that heritage from 1776.
Now, we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated can long endure.
The Battle of Gettysburg became the hinge of fate on which turned the destiny of that nation and its new birth of freedom.
We are met on the great battlefield of that war.
Speaking to soldiers who leaned on crutches and the town people who were still in shock of the events that had occurred, President Lincoln sought to heal a nation's wounds by defining what a nation should be.
We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live.
Lincoln came to Gettysburg to honor the dead. And by the time he departed, he had helped define the nation that would be inherited by the living and by the generations yet to be born.
It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground.
Lincoln's 272 words gave meaning to the terrible sacrifices wrought by the Battle of Gettysburg and the Civil War.
The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract.
It was here at Gettysburg that Lincoln made the most eloquent and effective expression of these ideas.
The world will little note nor long remember what we say here.
No words are greater than those spoken here by a simple man who not only saved the American Union, but also came to symbolize its greatest virtues of humility, of honesty, and decency.
But it can never forget what they did here.
Over the last few years, the National Park Service has been commemorating the 150th anniversary of the Civil War, reminding Americans and visitors from around the world not only of the great sacrifices made here at Gettysburg or Antietam or Manassas, but more importantly, the ideals that prompted such sacrifice and their relevance today.
It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced.
His words, chiseled on the walls of his memorial, are likewise chiseled on our hearts. They tell us what it means to be an American. They call us to unfinished work, not just to win a war, but to continue to perfect our nation and a government that is truly of the people, by the people, for the people.
It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion.
Lincoln wrote his words on paper, but he also inscribed them in our hearts and laid them before us as a map for our nation's journey into the centuries ahead.
That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain.
Union Americans needed to understand why they should continue to sacrifice their sons for this cause. When his nation needed his words, his inspiration, to renew its dedication to the cause for which it fought. In the Gettysburg Address, Abraham Lincoln rose to that challenge with words that matched the power of his deeds.
That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
It is up to each and every one of us now, not only as citizens of our 50 states, but also as citizens of the world, to nurture and preserve the rights of humanity, equality, and freedom across all nations.
And the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.